Real life,
real faith, real grace.
And so they bring my baby in finally. I am looking at him through an incubator for 10 minutes and then they go. And I'm just sitting there in this hospital bed without my child, wondering what's going on. And they told me that he has to be put on a cooling blanket, which is just basically like a blanket that helps reduce brain swelling from like the trauma of the contractions and like birth and stuff. And they told me for 72 hours. So in my mind, you know, they're telling me, hey, you need to calm down. You're about to die. I developed preeclampsia, which is where your blood pressure gets so high that you could like stroke out. But I mean, for good reason, because I was in a really stressful situation.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, you need to calm down. And I'm like, how do you expect me to calm down right now? Like,
Easier said than done, obviously.
Yeah. I just want to be with my child. So he's at the hospital with my son. I have to wait to get released till my blood pressure goes down, and I had an emergency C-section, so I gotta like stay there for a little bit. Mind you, I think it was like the day that he got there or the day after, my son coded out again, like completely flatlined, like oxygen level 0. They're in there doing chest compressions. I had no idea. My husband had to watch that by himself.
Meanwhile, like you cannot be in the room with him?
I'm in a different, like he's an hour away from me. Jeez. I'm still in the hospital.
Still at the hospital.
I'm still at the hospital. Yeah, I don't think I got released for like 3 days or 2.5 days or something like that.
So you were, but Austin was there.
Austin had driven to that hospital. Okay. Yeah, he was there with our son. And mind you, also, he's like watching this and like walking through this alone. But he's telling me, oh, he's doing good, so that my blood pressure will go down. And I don't stroke out and die. You know, so by the grace of God, he's just like, yeah, you're fine. He's doing great. And I finally get released. I'll never, ever forget this moment. I get to the door of the hospital because in my mind, my child is on this cooling blanket for 72 hours and then we're taking him home.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I get to the door of that NICU, finally, and the doctor meets me and he goes, you have the sickest baby in our entire NICU. 5 floors of NICUs, of NICU floors. They're like, he's fighting for his life and we're doing everything that we can do. And they're like, he's already coded out again. And I'm just like, I'm literally taking all this in and I'm like, is this real life? Like I go in there and he's in such a severe state that the lights have to be off. We can't touch him. He looks lifeless there. And I'm just like, barely believing this is real. So my husband and I, we literally slept in that hospital room. Like we did not leave his side. We couldn't. His oxygen would go down like constantly. And we would just sit there and pray and cry out to God to keep him alive. And we would tell him like, keep fighting, baby. Like, don't give up. Like, stay in there. And so that was like the first week of his life. And actually, the day after I got there, he coded out again. And my husband and I were in the room. I'm sorry. This is why I'm like, I should have brought tissues.
Maybe we should have had mine go first. I'm like literally over here blinking. I look like I'm giving you Morse code because I'm blinking so many times to try not to cry right now. And I'm literally like just touching my face.
Right. I can't tell this story without crying.
No, and just, rightfully so.
Thank you. That's Steve.
Steve for the clutch.
Oh, you need some too. Here.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to make sure you got yours first.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and this was my eye-opening moment when I realized that everything that I was doing was completely wrong, because the monitor drops and we're praying because it's not like we hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden they're like, you guys got to get out of the room. You guys got to get out of the room. And we're in the hallway and you can hear every nurse, every doctor in the entire floor is in our son's room, like giving him chest compressions, like bringing him back to life. And I'll never forget my husband and I sitting in that hallway, and there was no mantra I could say. There was no crystal I could hold. There was no chakra I could heal. There was nothing I could manifest in that moment. All I had was the name of Jesus. And I called my husband and I called on the name of Jesus. And we said, Jesus, save our son. Save him. And we heard the monitor start going again. And now for the 3rd time in my son's first week of life, God has literally brought him back. Crazy. Like, I would never wish this on my worst enemy. It was
absolutely
crazy.
A miracle.
And so fast forward, like his first week and a half, he was literally hanging on by a thread. Like his oxygen was constantly dropping. The doctors to this day are like, we don't know how he made it through that first week. And my husband and I kind of chuckle because we would literally watch the oxygen go down and start praying and then just watch it just go back up for no reason. And we're like, we know it was God.
Yeah.
But we ended up having to make a really hard decision where we put him on a machine called ECMO. And it's the maximum form of life support that you can be on. And what they do is, adults can't even get this. They have to do it in their arm. But for a baby, they sever the main artery right here in his neck. And then they take his blood, run it through a machine, and the machine oxygenates it so that his heart and his lungs could open up. Because what had happened was both of his lungs were completely collapsed from the meconium. Yeah. So they put him on this, and they're like literally warning us. They're like, he's might be a vegetable after this machine. Like his quality of life is not going to be good. Like we may be able to save his life. Like we don't really think he's going to make it. But if he does, he's going to have this. He's going to have this. He's going to have this. Like the side effects from being on this procedure is like crazy. I mean, it's wild. And so at this point, we can't sleep in the NICU anymore. Thankfully, they had like a Ronald McDonald House. Shout out to them, you guys. If you ever want to give to anything, give to the Ronald McDonald House because they gave us a place to stay. They gave us food to eat. So we literally never left the hospital. We never went back home. Like we stayed there. And so he was on that procedure for 5 days? I think 5 days. I'm talking to my husband. 5 days, and his lungs started to slowly open. And there's even like a crazy thing that happened there where it was like if it started to leak, like he could literally like die. And I think it had started to leak, and then we prayed and it just like stopped. Like, it was like the craziest thing. Like when I tell you guys the amount of miracles that we saw and how we saw God step in a way that I don't know if most people in their lifetime get to see that many.
I'm gonna say just that one season of like things happening over and over and over again, and the amount of faith. I mean, because at any point in time, like, you know how easy it would have been to just have that doubt creep in and be like, oh, like it's not right, like it's not gonna, this isn't gonna happen. You know how easy it is to let like the devil get in your head and literally tell him what that end is gonna be, and so many people that fall for that. And I've been there in less severe circumstances.
You know what
I
mean?
even
still do it with less circumstances. But you reminded me of a good point, because we had gotten to the point where the doctor said, we've done everything we can do. We're maxed out on this, every drug, every machine, everything they know. He literally looked at us and said, keep praying. And while my husband was...
Meanwhile, how long had you have been there now?
So this is now probably the first 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And while he was on like that maximum form of life support, my husband had an encounter with the Lord, which we'll have to say that for a whole other episode.
Stay tuned for that, because we're bringing on the guys for their testimonies and their stories too.
It's so powerful.
It's so powerful, but without giving it away, maybe kind of like.
Well, I'm going to give you what came of that. In that moment, the Lord told my husband that our son was going to be 100% healed.
Yeah.
And I was broken. I had no faith for my own. I was still praying and crying out to God, but I was still also confused at why this was happening, right? So I held on to that word that the Lord gave my husband, and we did not let go, no matter what we saw. Because even though like his lungs started to open, he started, obviously like now he's back on the ventilator, but there was thing after thing after thing that continued to happen. That was in his first 2 weeks. We were still there for another, we were there for 3 months total. So we had to walk that out, holding on to that word that the Lord gave us, that our son was going to be 100% healed. Oh my gosh. And when we told the doctors that, they were like, okay, I think these parents are emotionally distraught. But I'll never forget, my husband looked this one particular doctor in the eye and said, my son's coming home. And the day that we left that NICU, we hadn't seen that doctor since. We literally saw her on that day, and we said, hey, he's coming home today. And she was just like, oh my gosh. And so we literally watched the Lord perform miracle after miracle. Like if anybody ever tries to tell me that God is not real,
Oh,
I'm like,
gosh.
oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Because my son, you just met him last night. He's a walking, talking, breathing, dancing
What's wild
miracle.
is like the promise of him being 100%, it literally came to pass. Jesus worked that miracle through and through because I saw, if I would have not already known like what you guys had gone through and that whole story, I would just meet him and be like, oh, he was just, you know, his story is just every other birth. He's so perfect. Like he's just so adorable and just like with it and there and like he's just like I would literally think he was just like any other healthy kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's really funny.
And that's what's so incredible about it is like, because like I have no idea.
Yeah. It's so wild. We actually joke that Jesus overhealed him because he was like very advanced at a lot of things. Like he was like talking at like 1 and 2 and just like doing things that like still some kids his age like aren't able to do. Like my mom is a teacher and she works with like little kids and she's like, oh, my kids can't jump on 1 foot. And I'm like, this kid is just like, he's advanced and he loves Jesus and he loves to worship and he's smart.
So vivacious. Like he's just got a love for life.
He's already a goofball.
He's so
he knows
cute.
How to be silly and make you laugh. Like he knows
so
every worship
cute.
song,
He's got a smile that literally like takes over his whole face. Like just when he smiles, like I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like,
yeah, he's so full of life. And it's
cute.
The devil tried to take his life.
Yeah.
But it shows the glory of God because he's so full of life. And so I don't know, like I love sharing this story because this not only is a story of my son, like literally his life being saved. He's 100% healed to this day. He's now 3 years old. But this was also a story where the Lord transformed my heart and the Lord transformed my husband's heart. And from that experience, I went all out for Jesus. Yeah. And that's why I'm here today. Because I was like, no more new age. These crystals and stuff, they're not it.
No.
It's only Jesus. And that is literally why I'm sitting here right here today and why I'm so passionate. And why you might see me get a little fiery or fired up. Or if you ever see me worship, you're like, she's a little crazy. It's because I'm dancing through the goodness of my God and what he did for our family. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. On that note, like, Lord,
God
you're
is
so good, Lord.
good.
You're so good.
So good. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm just, like I said, that was kind of one of the first times that I've got to hear it really to that entirety. And it's so moving even still. I think it's between the things that you've told me, the video that I watched that you have on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like the third time I've heard it. And to this time, it still brings me to tears. It's still, I mean.
Me too.
It still will.
Yeah.
Even more rightfully so, though, because I'm sure you go back and you hear it and there's like this, you lived it.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure sometimes like you saw it in full picture. You know what I mean?
My tears aren't even from a place of pain.
No, exactly. You can tell. But
it's like this, wow, God. Like, you really brought us through this.
It's actually on the beauty side of it.
Yeah.
Like you can feel it's like the fact, and it sounds so cliche, but it's like you literally got that word and that's when you held on with that and you really only needed that mustard seed of faith.
Yeah.
And like, look what he did with that. Like you just needed to show that like seeking him and putting him first and believing his promise over what the devil was telling you and trying to show you was what was more important.
Yeah.
And it's just truly, it's honestly beyond incredible. It's truly miraculous and God is just so good.
Yeah.
So on that note, we'll wrap it up. We have to have Austin and Steve, her man, my man, back. There's going to be a whole nother episode with them.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is there's even more to elaborate on pieces of that story.
Which you guys will probably hear just naturally as we continue doing the episodes and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I'm just so grateful to have you in my life and to have that as a story that I can listen to. And the fact that, you're willing to share something so vulnerable and use that to maybe heal people that are going through something right now and they feel like they can't get through.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so important to share these testimonies, because we're all going through something.
Yeah.
And at some point in our life, we're going through something and we have that moment that gives us the opportunity to either get closer or further from God. And I'm so glad.
You just need that little bit of faith, that little bit of hope.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that was the moment that you chose him, because there's so many people that they still don't. And like, he's always going to be there for you. And you're always going to have those moments when you can turn him in any time. And like, I'm so glad you did, because now you got your baby, bore it. Yeah. And not only that, you've got this unreal relationship, right? And you have a second one. And now, more importantly, you have this unreal relationship with Jesus through it. So, but thank you guys for coming in today and listening to this episode of Let's Get Biblical. Thank you so much, Nina, for being so vulnerable and sharing your story and using it for good. And we're gonna wrap it up, and then next episode
we get to hear from Jess. I'm so excited.
I don't know if y'all are gonna need tissues for mine, but I'll tell you what, it's been a heck of a journey. So. That's coming up next. We cannot wait to see you on the next episode of Let's Get Biblical. Thank you for joining us on episode 2. We'll see you next time on episode 3.
This podcast is and always will be a free resource for everyone seeking to grow in their faith. If Let's Get Biblical has blessed you in any way and you'd like to support what we're doing, we would be incredibly grateful for your help.
Your donations allow us to continue creating content, expanding our reach, and sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with people around the world. Every contribution, no matter the size, makes a meaningful impact. If you'd like to give, you can find our links in the description area. Most importantly, we ask you to continue to keep this podcast in your prayers, that God would use it to touch hearts and change lives. Thank you again for joining us.